The major problem with the dynamics is that Trump desperately wants a deal, but Putin is not that keen to have a deal. And that is what the dynamics that we will see play out on Friday. And probably, I think Zelensky is right, that this is a victory for Putin, and Putin will leave Alaska with more than Trump has got.
My worst case scenario, of course, is that Trump gets trapped by Putin. He's isolated and he starts to give away promises to Putin, which aren't unacceptable with the Americans, the Europeans and the Ukrainians, and we go for no further forward.
Let's return to this developing story then on European leaders, on President Trump, on the build-up to the summit in Alaska this coming Friday between Presidents Trump and Putin. Following a meeting between European leaders and the US President, the coalition of the willing are currently meeting to debrief. Sir Keir Starmer says the summit coming on Friday sets out the first viable chance of a ceasefire in Ukraine. A little earlier, speaking through a translator, President Zelensky said that Ukraine should not be frozen out of negotiations between the US and Russia.
What concerns Ukraine must be discussed with Ukraine. We must support three-sided formats of the negotiations. There should be ceasefire, there should be security guarantees. President Trump said that he supports this and about America's readiness to take part.
Well, let's speak now to John Foreman, former British Defence Attaché to Ukraine and Russia. Hello, John.
Hello, Callum.
And also with us, Anna Wieslander, Director for Northern Europe at the Atlantic Council. Hello, Anna.
Hello.
John, let's start with you. What are you reading into what we know so far about how these meetings have gone today and what they might do to shape the Trump-Putin summit on Friday?
Yeah, I mean, we're fairly positive, I think, how the meeting today has gone. Certainly the readout by Merz and Zelensky, by Starmer and Macron is pretty aligned. And I'm also noted the warm words of Trump towards the Europeans before the meeting. It strikes me generally that Trump has walked away last week from his take it or leave it position, which was being recommended by people like Steve Witkoff, to a more emollient position. I think he's been slightly stung by the criticism. So, yes, I think the alignment of positions of the Europeans is good. It shows that Europe has Ukraine's back, that Europe has also made it clear to Trump its own concerns about European security. It's not just about Ukraine. And also that the issue of security guarantees has been made loud and clear to the Americans, because without security guarantees, any deal will not stick.
On the security guarantees, Anna, it could be noted that once again, Starmer, Macron of France, Merz of Germany have certainly been coordinating, it would seem, on calls for a ceasefire. That's been quite a loud message from the meetings today.
Yes, we will see about that. I think. I mean, what is important for Europe to realize is that Europe will really do the heavy lifting when it comes to security guarantees. The Trump administration has been crystal clear on that they do not want to have troops on the ground, and they will not have a leading role in that whatsoever. So it really is a moment then for this coalition of the willing and the preparations that have been made in case there is a ceasefire, to show that Europe can stand up on this.
Yeah. John, we talk often about how unpredictable President Trump will be in this summit on Friday, but is Vladimir Putin any more predictable? Actually, what do we think will be Putin's strategy in all of this? One of the considerations is that he's just trying to buy time to change the trajectory of this conflict, delay the president, string him along, concede nothing. And then if there's a deal, if there's something that emerges that Trump is proud of, however one-sided it might be, Zelensky may reject it, and then he becomes the bad guy.
I think Putin's position has been pretty consistent for 3.5 years. I think he wants to be back at the top table with the President of the United States, not just as a photo opportunity, but to be seen and recognised as a great power, to be able to sit alongside America and sort out global problems. Secondly, I think he wants to restart the bilateral relationship. And I think there's things that he could dangle to Trump on economics and energy and arms control, which would prick American attention. I think also that he wants a bargain on security or European security, and finally wants Ukraine back in the orbit. So I think those are his ends. I think he'll use different ways and means to get there. And as you say, he might be trying to pitch above the heads of the Europeans and Ukrainians to portray them as the blockers and to say to Trump, look, we can do great things if only those Europeans and Ukrainians got out of the way. So I think, it's been consistent. Of course, that approach from Putin is a long way away from the position which the Europeans set out today.
Yeah. Anna, one of the other thoughts on this then, on how these two men will engage with each other, and this is from Richard Haas, who worked in 3 Republican administrations before leading the Council on Foreign Relations, who said the least bad outcome is that the men would have an exchange of views, but that Trump would stay non-committal and no deal would be reached. Do you agree with that? Is no deal better than a bad deal, as it were?
I definitely do. I think there is a big risk that these talks are elusive, that they will, the framing is that we will reach some kind of false peace. And the major problem with the dynamics is that Trump desperately wants a deal, but Putin is not that keen to have a deal. And that is what the dynamics that we will see play out on Friday. And probably, I think Zelensky is right, that this is a victory for Putin, and Putin will leave Alaska with more than Trump has got. Yeah. And the next meeting then will be a follow-up meeting in Moscow.
So it's interesting you say that, because just as we're speaking, this reaches us here that 2 sources familiar with negotiations to bring about a trilateral meeting have told CBS News in the US that the US is working on a site for a Trump-Putin-Zelensky meeting as soon as the end of next week. What do you make of that, Anna?
Well, it has been in the cards, and it's possible. It's something that Trump has hinted at. And a place for that has also been hinted at, and that's Russia territory. I mean, it's a big win for Putin that he is invited to U.S. territory, and that, Trump will just hear him off, as he said. So this could be a natural step, and probably that could be one reason why Zelensky said that the U.S. is ready to support Ukraine might be that Trump hinted to him that, this could be the next step.
John, on that, what needs to happen on Friday, and indeed what can't happen on Friday, in order for a trilateral meeting of Trump, Putin and Zelensky to then occur?
Well, I agree with Anna. I think my most optimistic scenario would be actually a ceasefire in place, agreed between the 2 men. I don't think it's not likely because of what the Russian position has been. They want a conditional ceasefire that Ukraine has to withdraw before ceasefire is in place. But I think if Friday came about and it laid the foundations of serious substantive dialogue between the 2 sides and then the 3 sides, that would be good. And my worst case scenario, of course, is that Trump gets trapped by Putin. He's isolated and he starts to give away promises to Putin, which aren't unacceptable with the Americans, the Europeans and the Ukrainians, and we go for no further forward.
Yeah. Thank you both very much for joining us. It's good to speak to you. That's John Foreman, former British Defence Attaché to Ukraine and Russia, and also Anna Wieslander, Director for Northern Europe at the Atlantic Council.